Welcome back to The Nation. Question time was plunged into chaos this week with claims the new Speaker was giving government ministers an easy ride. Opposition parties say David Carter is failing to pull up government ministers when they don't answer questions or when they add a few political jabs to their answers. They claim Prime Minister John Key is the worst offender. Here's what happened this week when Labour leader David Shearer tried to get a straight answer out of the PM.
If the member is saying we should go and sack her, then that's a pretty high standard and actually not one he held himself to account to.
Point of order.
That latter part of that answer was well off the question and actually was wrong in addition to that.
I think the question has been very adequately addressed.
We probably all have made mistakes. I mean, this member can't remember he's got a bank account offshore, but he's out there.
Order.
What specific action will he take to give the public an assurance that their personal and private details are safe?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, I'm tempted, Mr. Speaker, to say tell the Leader of the Opposition he doesn't tell anyone about his private details.
Point of order.
I think the Prime Minister thinks that this is somehow some trivial matter that he can palm off, he's wrong. And I would appreciate it if he could answer the question.
And I invite the Leader of the Opposition to re-ask that question.
And yes, I knew Ian Fletcher. I went to school with his brother. His brother was way brighter than Grant Robinson, I'll tell you what.
And that answer does not assist the order of the House. Order. Would the member please
Six times yesterday you ruled against the Prime Minister for making comments which were out of order, at least. Mr. Speaker, earlier when the Right Honourable Winston Peters made an out of order comment, he was required to withdraw. You have never done that to the Prime Minister, and I just want to know, is it going to be even both ways?
Mr. Speaker, I can't be expected to withdraw that Grant Robinson's not as bright as Alistair Fletcher. He's not.
Order. The Prime Minister addressed the question and then added a remark that was not helpful to the order of the House. I moved immediately to stop him. I have now moved on. Does the member have a further supplementary?
Are you going to deal with the
Order.
wasting of the Parliament? You did not deal with the Prime Minister.
Order. I have dealt with the matter. Order. The member will stand and withdraw for that comment.
I withdraw.
Thank you.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
If it's a fresh point of order,
absolutely.
I'll entertain it. But if it's a continuation of the other, then I will be asking the member to leave the chamber.
The point of order is whether you have rewritten standing orders or Speaker's rulings. Mr. Speaker, sit down till I'm finished. Goodness sake.
The member will now leave the chamber. The member will leave the chamber. Point of order, Chris Hipkins.
Mr. Speaker, I'm now going to raise with you the point of order that Mr Mallard was going to raise, which you didn't allow him to raise.
No, that is now relitigating.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
The member
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
The member will now leave the chamber.
I think I've seen better behaviour, to be honest, in a kindergarten than we saw in the House. Labour's Chief Whip Chris Hipkins joins me now. Thank you for coming in.
Good morning.
Gosh, what would have been the best way to resolve all of this? Rather than all the sparring we saw this week, would it not have been better to have a private meeting with the Speaker to address your concerns?
Oh, look, it wasn't a great week for anybody in the Parliament, but I think ultimately that comes down to the leadership that's shown by the Speaker and by the Prime Minister as well. When the Speaker allows the Prime Minister to get away with having digs at the opposition with absolutely no penalty, if you like, and then is very hard on the opposition, turfing opposition members out of the House, that is going to lead to a certain amount of frustration. Lockwood Smith was considered a very good Speaker, but he was something of an exception, wasn't he? Because he did give opposition MPs a fair hearing. Margaret Wilson, though, some would argue, was more like what we may have seen from David Carter this week. Is it a reality when you have a government-appointed Speaker
that there is going to be some bias there?
Well, it's easy to look back on Lockwood Smith with rose-tinted glasses. In fact, when he was appointed the Speaker, the opposition had some concerns about him as well. He was kind of put through his paces and tested a little bit, and over time I think he earned the respect of the opposition. So David Carter was elected without the support of the whole Parliament. It was a contested election and we didn't necessarily support him in the first place. But he's had an opportunity to earn the opposition's respect, just as Lockwood Smith did.
Does it worry you that, you know, the public looks at scenes like we saw in Question Time and the public thinks, look, MPs, we're paying these people, they're acting like children?
Oh, absolutely, I do. And, you know, I think that the Speaker can certainly change the tone of Parliament, and I think Lockwood Smith did change the tone of Parliament. You know, he implemented some relatively straight rules. You know, so if you ask a straight question, you'll get a straight answer. If you ask a political question, well, you can expect a political answer. That's not what we're getting anymore. Now, nobody says David Carter has to be Lockwood Smith. He can be very different. He can have a different style and a different approach. But some basic rules still need to be, you know, still need to apply.
Do you think David Carter wants to be Speaker?
Look, he didn't seem particularly keen on the job. He said right from the outset he was going to find it very difficult to move from being a very political actor in the game to being the impartial referee, and certainly I think the first few months that he's been in the job, that's been the case.
OK, so what can Labor do then if it continues to feel frustrated at David Carter's governance, if you like? Well,
this is one of the really frustrating things about the Parliament, is actually the opposition has very little ability to do anything. We rely on the Speaker to be the impartial referee. And in New Zealand's constitutional arrangements, we don't have an upper house, we don't have a court that can strike down rules. You know, the Parliament really is supreme. Parliament has the ultimate power, and the only thing the opposition can do is question the government, hold the government to account, and we rely on the Speaker to do that.
Given that Trevor Mallard was thrown out and given that he has aspirations, if you like, for that Speaker position, that probably didn't help him a lot, did it? Oh, look, I mean, I think I can understand Trevor's frustration. I mean, I got very frustrated as well. I think that, you know, it would have been much better if that whole situation had been avoided. All right, we have to leave it there. Chris Hipkins, appreciate you coming in, though. Thanks very much for your time this morning.